You're welcome to this live. Friday nights we do live chats, and today is not any different. We are going to be on live. I need my camera person to set the camera right because it's a bit crooked. I need it to go right. Yes, and thank you so much, guys, for tuning in. Subscribers, you are amazing. And welcome to this Friday, just before Good Friday. Those of you who are tuning in, I hope and pray we're going to have a good time. Thank you so much for dropping by. You can tell a friend, grab that cup of tea or coffee, and together let us do life. Today we are talking about when love gets crowded. Yeah, we are talking about when love gets crowded, the impact of the third parties in relationships. That is basically what we are dealing with today. And I'm just giving time to those who are not yet tuned in to go on and tune in. And together we are going to do life or discuss life. So call a friend, tell them it's starting so they can tune in. You're welcome, guys, and it's live. Feel free, it's a live chat, to drop in the comments. Let me know what you think, what your opinion is on this one, on this topic. And if you drop in a comment, I will be able to read it. Maybe not right away, but trust me, I will read your comments. So you can go ahead and share your comments or opinions on this topic. It is open to anyone. I'm just sharing the link and then we start shortly. Yeah, that is it. I hope those few minutes have given you time to tune in and tell friends. Excuse me on this. Okay, the topic of discussion is when love gets crowded. That's what we are going to be dealing with today, the impact of third parties in a relationship or in relationships. Now, relationships are not only in terms of marriage, because when I say relationship, some people will be saying, I'm not married. Well, I'm not talking about marriage. Third parties in relationships. I hope my sound is clear and you can hear me very well. The impact of third parties on relationship or in relationships. Third parties are so many. Sometimes love stories don't end because of what is happening between the two people, but because of that someone standing just outside the frame. Yeah. So that is what we are going to talk about today. Guys, go ahead, call your friends and let us talk about life. This channel is all about reading the Bible on a daily basis, but on Friday, it's dedicated purely to life. We discuss life. We talk about nothing is off limit. Any title that we discuss is actually suggested by you people. Rogers, you're so much welcome. You're among the very first people, and I'm so glad that you've tuned in. Thank you so much for tuning in. Yeah, Rogers is saying, Oweda Mwambuze, da, I'm happy now. Thank you so much, Rogers. And you're asking where is Lydian? I hope Lydian is on as well, because Lydian Rogers is asking where you're at. And those of you who are tuning in, guys, go ahead. It's a live chat. Drop in the comments. We'll be able to read your comments as and when they drop in. Thank you so much for the support. Audrey says, hello. Yeah, hello, my dear. Thank you so much for the good work and Thank you so much for tuning in and watching. I hope today you stick around so Rogers will get to know you as well, just as he knows Lydian. The title for today is When Love Gets Crowded. Uh, they are, like I said, the impact of third parties in relationships. Sometimes love stories don't end because of what is happening, but because what is happening between two people, but because of someone standing just outside the frame. Yeah. Today we are going to dive in deep into relationships. Why love starts to slip away when it gets too crowded. Those are the things or areas that we are going to cover. We are going to talk about why do third parties enter relationships, the types of third parties, and you could be there not even knowing who is a third party. So if you're looking to know and learn, guys, go ahead and tune in. And also the signs of or spotting the signs of a third party being in a relationship already. Is the third party the problem or a symptom? That is an area we are going to cover as well. And then we'll talk about have you ever dealt with a third party in your relationship? So, Roger, if you're tuning in, please prepare to let us know your experience with third parties in your relationship. And Audrey, you can also go ahead and comment and let us know your experience with third parties in a relationship. Relationships are actually not only between man and woman, relationships can also be between friends, you know, you and your friend, and then a third party comes in, how that affects a relationship. Also, the impact of third parties, because there is the positive side, but also there is the negative side. Third parties, how what their take is on that one. Lillian says, "Good evening." Rogers has been asking about you, saying, "Where are you?" And I hope Rogers, you're happy now that Lillian has tuned in. Yeah, Lillian, you're so much welcome. And how to protect our relationships from third parties. That is an area we are going to be talking about as well. How can we rebuild our relationships after going through third party experiences? So, we are going to be covering quite some ground on third parties or when a relationship gets crowded and its impact on relationships. So go ahead, guys, and drop in the comment. Let me know where you're watching in from, who you are. Otherwise, you're so much welcome. And the topic of discussion today is when love gets crowded. The impact of third parties on a relationship. Sometimes relationships stories or love stories, uh, but batabuzi Rogers says third parties are batabuzi or what you can say they are people who just come to bring about confusion or mix up in a relationship, and it's so right. Now we need to know why do relationships end. Sometimes love stories don't end because of what is happening between two people, but because someone standing outside the frame, just outside the frame. So today we are going to be diving in deep into relationships. Why love starts to slip away when it gets too crowded. Anyone with an experience like that, go ahead and drop in the comments. Otherwise, you're so much welcome. And those of you who are just come on board, we are talking about when love gets crowded, the impact of third parties on a relationship. I mean, third parties are known to be there, but what do they do to a relationship? When does a relationship get crowded? Why do third parties enter relationships? The types of third parties, just a quick run through for those who have just dropped in, spotting the signs of third parties in a relationship, how to heal and rebuild a relationship after experiencing third parties. And then we'll also look at the impact of third parties on the partner involved with the third party or the third parties themselves. We are going to look at how to protect our relationships from third parties. So those are the areas we are going to cover, and straight away we'll dig in. Yeah, a third party does not always mean cheating. Sometimes it's between two people. It's two people yeah, who are lacking in so many ways, and so a third party crops in. But then we are going to first of all look at the types of third parties. It could be an ex that never left. Yeah, a third party could be that ex that never left. It could be a best friend. It could be a sorry, a workmate or a boss at work. It could be family members. Oh my goodness, in Uganda we have so many of those family members that come in as third parties. We could have workmates who have no boundaries, social media, even a child. When a parent, even a child brought into a relationship can become a third party. It could be honestly anyone, but third parties are normally symptoms of bigger problems. So those are the areas. Lillian says they say three is a crowd. That is very true, especially in a relationship. Three is gets to really be a crowd. So go ahead and give me your comments in the comments. Share your experiences. I'll tell you of my own stories that I know of third parties in relationships and how they ruined them. Not necessarily do third parties ruin relationships, but sometimes it gets to that where third parties really just cause, like Roger said, bizibu ku bizibu, or problem from problem to problem. They don't normally come in to build. I think along the way they get jealousy or they get carried away by what they see, and they just ruin a good thing. Like there's this lady that I was told, she was married, and Rogers is saying, how does a child become a third party? A child can become a third party. Say, like I get involved with you, Rogers, and I come with a child, and my child doesn't like you. Trust me, my child will always be telling me things about you. And before you know it, there's that resentment that grows between us simply because I get to love my child and love you as well. So, really, a child can get in the way that way. And one other way they can become a third party is when, like, there's a friend of mine who got involved with a man who had a child now. And each time they were trying to spend time, quality time together, so they can strengthen their bond, the girl would come in and be like, what are you doing with my dad? Why are you here? And then she would just come and sit between them, throw those tantrums. And yet she was a grown up girl, about 13, 14 years. So children can really become third parties, and trust me, that can already make a relationship crowded. I want to read some comments, guys. This is a live chat. Go ahead and drop in comments. They will be read as and when there's time. Otherwise, Jamie says, "Hey, would you say that they do more harm than good?" Third parties actually do more harm than good in a relationship. Like Lydian said, that three is always a crowd. So trust me, a relationship that has more than two people, it is already crowded. And words will flow back and forth. This other third party, a clear picture would be you draw two people, one on the other side, on the left hand side, one on the right hand side, and someone stands in between. That person that stands in between is likely to switch words from one place to another, and that would already cause havoc, or if not, a whole tear of a relationship. So, yeah, third parties can do more harm than good, Jamie. Now, Kampala 256 says the only third party involved in our relationship is Museveni, is bad governance. Oh my goodness. Now, it depends on what relationship we are talking about. Yeah, it can be if you're looking at your country as a relationship. But now the one we are talking about is a relationship between two people, or between friends, between partners, between people who love each other, between a married couple. So those are the ones we are looking at right now, Kampala 256. And Rogers says, even Museveni is a third party. You people, you make me happy. That is true. I mean, I didn't know he's a third party. I thought he's a president taking our whole country because our country is bigger. So it can't fall in that category of. Remember, that topic for today is when love gets crowded. So really, Kampala 256, unless you're talking about love for the country, and that is broad. It's not yet the topic for today. It's a different one. Probably you can suggest it, and it can be discussed on another day. But as for today, we are talking about when love gets crowded and the impact of third parties in relationships. So I hope I've explained that bit. Audrey says, what are your thoughts on polygamy? Oh my goodness. Polygamy is another one. It's not a relationship restricted to just two people. Polygamy, by description, is relationships between more than one person, between more than two people. So, really, that is not love being crowded, because this person chooses to go out and have this partner get this partner and another partner, and they relate on different grounds. So polygamy wouldn't suit, except to these different partners this person gets, if they all have third parties between them. So, like, I marry you, Audrey, and then I marry Lillian, and then I marry Jamie, and then Jamie has her in-laws. Jadine comes with her child, and Lillian comes with her workmates. That is already a crowded relationship, because everyone will come in to feed our relationship, and before you know it, that marriage would collapse. The marriage to these different people. I hope that explains, Audrey. Now let's go to what Lydian said. But sometimes the third party could be invited for advice by one of the partners. This sometimes brings its own problems. Tell me about it. There is this couple we were watching on TV. They went to, those people who are not living in Africa have this tendency of going to, they call them these counselors are called what? They call them psychic. No, not psychic. I go and speak to my therapist. Yeah. And these therapists, sometimes I found out they are twisted. This therapist never wanted them to recover. So he always said, so how does that make you feel? And how does that make you feel? And when they were trying to patch things between themselves, this man would make sure behind the curtains would see that he's trying to create havoc so they could keep on coming back. So advice, like Lillian has said, but sometimes third parties could be invited in for advice by one of the partners. Yeah, sometimes those third parties are invited. But remember, if you bring in a third party, only advise that it would help a relationship, both of you are aware of that third party. But there are cases when a relationship is crowded, when it's just me in a relationship and I bring in my sister to be the one to decide what food we eat at home, what my husband should buy for me. Or it could be that it's my husband's workmates who decide I'm not good enough. Well, I don't look at the part. I'm not the type that he should have got. That already will drive him away from me rather than bring us more close together. So, third parties invited, not my cup of tea. And Lillian says, Audrey, is polygamy legal? Audrey, you have to explain that. Lillian is asking, is polygamy legal? You can type and explain to Lillian if polygamy is legal. And Lillian says, also family tend to invade the relationship with their useless advice. Lillian is really done with family. True. Family sometimes, I know of this lady, she was getting married. In Uganda, when you're getting married, it's a big deal. I mean, you have this introduction ceremony where they bring in all kinds of things, and normally all lights are shining bright on the girl. So this time round, this lady had planned to wear 3 changing dresses. First 2 gomasis and then a dress that she would change in while she's carrying her basket to the man. But amazingly, there is this girl who was interested in her brother, the brother of the bride, and uh, she had prepared her gomasi. A gomasi, for those of you who don't know what that is a traditional wear for Ugandans Baganda people in Uganda. So she wore the gomasi. She had planned to wear her gomasi, but this sister-in-law comes in and sister-in-law to be comes in and says, sees the gomasi. And then she says, I will wear that gomasi the first time I go out. So that meant this girl was not going to go and greet because her sister-in-law to be was going to borrow that gomasi for her fourth change. But then you think about it. She had planned, to have her wedding introduction ceremony. If she really needed a fourth change or attire, why didn't she buy it? So me, I've seen family really come in and really mess up a good thing, and they would take her for a ride. I mean, they would come to visit and take away her watch. You say like they find her with a nice watch. Oh, this one is really nice. Can I have it? My brother must have got it for you. Then she takes it. Her nail polish. I mean, shoes. Think about anything. They would come. If it's nice, they would take it. Now, to me, I think family can really get in and ruin things. Leave alone cultures where the Asians that we look at who get married and you marry my sons, you all live in my house. That is different. But again, it doesn't make it easy. Relationships really shouldn't be that crowded. And they asked Audrey whether polygamy is legal. And Audrey says in some countries, polygamous relationships are legal and even placed on TV shows like a show called Sister Wives. Yeah. And those relationships, my dear, if you follow those programs of Sister Wives, those programs as well, those marriages end up in separation. I don't know whether Audrey has watched them lately. The very first wives have already left, and now the man is trying to hold on to the last maybe two or three wives that had been left, I think. So a relationship really should stick to two people just as intended by God. Others come in for advice, but from outside. They don't really move in and start dictating things. That's my opinion. But again, Audrey was saying, and Lillian says, Audrey, suppose it's legal in those communities, then maybe then they are prepared for the problem that arises in those polygamous relationships. I hope that explains to Audrey. And Lillian says, however, those TV shows are set up. Remember, they need viewers. Oh my goodness, Lillian, just to shed some light on those shows, they are not. These guys go ahead and even have children, unless you're saying they take the script all the way up to the bedroom and inside the family and just have babies as they are scripting. These families, the man has like four wives or five, and all these wives have his children, and they are born while they are all married. And on the wedding, the first wife is there, the second. It's like they are Muslims, but not really. Even for Muslims, I've seen Muslim girls who get really jealousy of the number two or number three and go on and do all kinds of spells and crafts against them. So it is not easy. Relationships really are intended for two people. And Lillian says, however, those TV shows are set up, remember, they need viewers. I don't know the degree to which the setup is because they go on and have children. Otherwise, when we look at third parties in a relationship, it could be an ex. Yeah. Say like I was going out with someone and we didn't conclude issues, but for some reason maybe I left the country and this person got someone and things are not working out where they are, and then I return after some time and we rekindle that relationship. Normally that third party is in there, especially when men tend to do this. Rogers, you'll tell us, and maybe Alan if he's watching. Uh, Men tend to be the ones to do this. They go back to their exes and try and compare. That is also the disadvantage of having so many people before you settle, because then you have a big scale to compare to. So those exes can have, especially if issues were not concluded, they tend to fall back on the exes. Even girls, but rarely, because girls get married and they settle. But some do actually not, but there are those who really settle. And Rogers says, I'm supporting polygamy culture. Oh my goodness. Rogers, is that why you have not yet got someone or you already have and you just want to add to them? That's another one you need to clear on, because all along I've been trying to find someone for you, hoping those ladies that are tapping in here would. You need to clarify on that one. I need to know where you belong. Yeah? All along, I thought you didn't have anyone and you just needed someone because you said you want someone to love you. You want someone, but you don't believe in love. Clear that, Rogers. Let's see what you think. And Alan says, hi, my daughter recently went to school and she made friends. And after a while, she realized that they weren't her type of people. So she told me about it and asked if she could get a mediator. Tell us more, Alan, we need to hear. And Rogers says, you can't be serious. Lillian says, Rogers, you can't be serious. I told you, Rogers, you need to explain to us, are you looking for someone to add to already the list existing, or are you alone because you've always practiced polygamy and these ladies find out and they just skip? Shed some light on that one. And Lillian says, do you think having a third party would be good in a relationship? Now, this is my opinion. I'm answering Alan. He says, do you think having a third party would be good in a relationship? I would say no, it wouldn't be good. But again, I would say it depends on the relationship. There are those people who have had issues and their issues have been carrying on. And there is need for a third party to come in and either shed light, someone with experience, someone they believe in, and a relationship would survive. But again, there is a third party. We remember we said we are going to talk about those third parties because they are different. We talked about an ex that never really left. And Roger said the answer is coming soon. We are waiting. We are waiting to hear that. Otherwise, when we look at types of third parties, before I answer Alan, there is that ex that never left. So I don't think that ex would be anything good. In response to Alan's question, do you think having a third party would be good? In response to that, I would say a third party wouldn't be good because in this case, if it's an ex, surely they can't be any good. They want to always create room for themselves to come back in. So if you give them that room, they would come back in and ruin a good thing. And one thing I've realized about exes, like you spit out vomit, if you go back to it, it must be disgusting. Things happen, people leave themselves, and life happens. There is this gentleman that I got to know, and I trusted him with my investment. I bought a motorcycle because I knew him from way back when he was really nice. He used to work for me around the house. So I thought, okay, since I have him, let me now, I lost track of him. And then one time he met me again and said, I don't have anything to do. If you can set me up on anything. And I remembered him from the relationship before, where he would come around the house, help cut some grass, weed the garden. And I thought he was still the same person, but life had happened. And over the years, he had changed. So this time he comes to me, and I'm still in the lock of, the past person that I met, and still trusting. Then I trusted him with someone else's motorcycle. I got for him a motorcycle that belonged to someone else. And he was supposed to ride it around and take money to that person on a daily. And boy, have I struggled with this guy. I mean, it comes up with the owner of the motorcycle is always calling me and saying, where's my money? Where's my money? The guy you brought for me didn't bring my money. And contacting this guy, sometimes he takes off his phone. Sometimes I don't know whether I'm in block because when I call, I can't go through. And then when I go through, he tells me the police got him long time ago, took away the bike, and he's now struggling to get it from there, so he has no money. Then if that is sorted, he tells you maybe you can lend me this much and I clear this bill, then I can be able to resume and be submitting money as required. And then he doesn't do it. But remember, I trusted him, or I took him on the page that I first knew him from, where he was nice and good. So relationships with ex really are a no-no, because life happens, and guess what? They change. Maybe we met when we didn't have children. Now I do have one. Oh my goodness! Then you come back, and my child comes first, and now there's that a lot can happen. So exes, if they are the ones in a relationship as third parties, they wouldn't be any good. That is what I would say. I don't know what your opinion is, guys. You can go ahead and drop your opinion as well. Otherwise, Lillian says if the third party is to be mediator, then maybe it's good, providing that both parties agree. Yeah, if they both agree. But most of the time, when a relationship is crowded, it is the third party known to only one party, not to both parties or partners in a relationship. It is known to, say, like the girl or the man, but not to both. That is when it gets really crowded, because I can drive you away from the other, or you can drive me away from the other. So what Lillian is saying is true. And Alan says, would a mediator be good for my daughter's situation? Huh. Remember his story? He said they got on a wrong foot with a friend at school. I think a mediator wouldn't be necessary, really. I mean, she needs to learn how to face life head on. I mean, if you don't like someone, if you're not on the same page anymore, this is my take. You would have to deal with it yourself. You tell them, you know what? Because of this and this reason, I suggest we part ways and we can't be friends anymore. Simple as that. And matters wouldn't be prolonged for long. But go ahead, guys, and give your opinion. It's a live chat. Drop in the comments. We'll be able to read your comment as and when there's time. Otherwise, Lillian says, if it's an ex, then why go back? Because there must have been a good reason why they became an ex. Oh my goodness, Lillian is filled with all this wisdom. Thank you, Lillian. They are exes for a reason, so they should stay in the past. That is what in actual sense she's trying to say. They are exes, they should stay in the past and not show up in your current relationship. That is very nice. And Rogers says, but for sure, if someone heading to 30 years without a child or a wife or via diva, but for me, I have my baby general. Rogers, you speak in parables and leave us wondering what you're really trying to say. Because you said you are single, you want to find someone, but you don't believe in love. So what is this baby general? I have my baby. Are you talking about baby girl or baby general? We need to know that as well. If you do have, then we get to know you're off the list. And so we stop searching for you and trying to hook you up with all these nice ladies. Because I don't think they're interested in polygamy. One thing I know about relationships, anyone who gets into a relationship becomes possessive. They want that title. They belong to you and you alone and you to them. So having it, say like me and, Alan are in a relationship, and then I get to know that anything that we have, there's this guy, I'll use this example. There's a man that I found at my brother's house. And this gentleman was really tired and done with ladies. He said, I'm done with ladies. And I asked him why. And he said, because I had a girl, but she had friends, so many friends. And the friends would tell her, ask this and this from your man. And if I don't bring it, it's like public knowledge. When we sleep hungry, she would tell the friends, and this made their relationship end at some point. And yet they had a daughter. Now he had vowed that if I happen to get someone else after here, which is not going to happen anytime soon. But if I get someone else after here, it will be that I will make sure this person never gets any friends at all in our relationship. And I asked him, how would you do that? One way I would do it is, first of all, sleep with all her friends so that she protects herself from all these friends and never allows them to our house again. Because if the closer she brings these friends, the closer we are to getting ruined. So that was his take on relationships and friends. So, also friends can ruin a good thing. And Rogers says, X are good people. Tebatu Kaluwiza. Rogers is saying exes are good. They don't make issues hard. They make life easy. But they are exes for a reason, Rogers. And you bring them into a current relationship is really wrong on all notes, and seriously on that one. And that is how a relationship becomes crowded. Because you come to me when we have issues, and instead of dealing with those issues with me, then you take them to that lady, and that doesn't mean that issues are resolved. Instead, it means that issues were there, but guess what we did? We brought in other people, you brought in someone else, told them about the problem, and they just expanded it. An example, there is this lady who was married to this nice man, and they were married for some time. Yeah. And the friends came to visit. They were telling me the friend was not married, but this couple that was already married had a Christmas event, and they invited their friend over because they got to know the friend was going to be having Christmas by herself. And they said, oh no, you can't have Christmas by yourself. You really need to come to our house and have Christmas with us. So I think when she came for Christmas, she got ideas on how to sneak or mess up this thing. So she started befriending the woman too much and started suggesting they go on holiday to these different places. And remember on Christmas when the parties were thrown, she got really drunk and spent, and the husband was watching. So when the wife later said, I'm going to Spain with my friend, remember the wife is married, but the friend is not. The girl is married, but the friend is not. So already her intention was to drive them apart, either to put herself as the person in the picture or to drift them apart. Because what business again have you got with when you're not married and you're so close to this one who is married? It's like you're trying to drive them away, and you're not trying to do it in a good way where you're building their relationship. But really, you're putting ideas. Let's go to Spain and go on holiday, minus your husband. So really, you can just see the agenda of the lady. And especially if you were with her on Christmas and saw how spent she was from all that alcohol, you think twice before going. But this lady was also determined to go until the husband said, no, you can't. And she said, well, I have to go because she's my friend. I need to be there and support her. And guess what? The relationship didn't last, because then the other one, the wife, was lured into that world of singleness by the friend. And the man could not take it. And as we speak now, they are not married. So really, also third parties are not not so good as, even as if we put it in the sense of friends. And Ryan says, Alan, it depends on why your daughter described that they weren't her type. Was the friend from a polygamous family? No, Lillian is really excited. You are intriguing. Alan will have to explain to us whether the friend, actually, she will have to explain to us whether the friend was from a polygamous family, because you never know. Maybe she was a Muslim, and she was throwing around different vibes. Otherwise, Roger says, from today, I'm not searching, but enyongereza teba nabo. Teba ntono enyongeza Teba ntono alina ayongerwako. So Rogers, now it is in the clear. Now what Rogers was trying to say that he from today he's not single, but he doesn't mind if he gets a bonus. Now there is nothing like a bonus in a relationship. There is no bonus. You're not in the market where you're buying grasshoppers and you say some sample or some bonus. No, 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 no. These are lives of people and hearts of people and feelings that you're dealing with. So Rogers, let's cut. You know, you're the one who keeps on using Luganda words. I would say Salakamiro, yeah. You know, don't be so hungry that you want everything that is out there. I've seen people who go to places of eating and they eat everything that is served, and at the end of the day they have some serious stomach issues. So you don't want to end up in some place because you could not control your appetite. Roger, that is what I can say. All along I thought you were really single, but now I know. So I'll keep you in check. And Lillian says, Roger, I doubt that the ex would give you supportive advice. Supportive advice. Roger, there you have it. And Roger says, ha 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 ha. And Ndoko say, Mama, I'm not searching. Okay, Roger is saying from today he's changed his life. He's transformed and he's not searching. That is a good one. And thank you. Otherwise, back to the topic of third parties. We talked about exes that never left. And also now we talked about friends, best friends who get too close for comfort, yeah? Those best friends. And Lillian is saying, Roger, unless you are into polygamous relationships, otherwise it's better to stick to the one you chose. That's good advice. Lillian, you should become a marriage counselor or a relationship, something. You're really giving it out. I wonder where quality marriage is today. Whether quality marriage got to know about the chat or quality marriage is absent, but we need to hear from quality marriage as well. Let's hear your opinion on, when a relationship becomes crowded. I hope if quality marriage is here tuning in, we need to know because that would be good as well to know whether quality marriage is what their opinion is on this topic, because they were giving really some good advice last time. So we are waiting to hear from quality marriage. Otherwise, back to the topic. We talked about friends and third parties being exes that never left. Also, now we are going to talk about family members. Oh my goodness. Family members can crop and feel like they own the relationship. It is not enough that the man goes out and finds for himself a woman, or the woman finds for herself a man, or they meet whichever way. But family comes in and they come with all these opinions that end up breaking the relationship. I want to read the comment that has just come in from Rogers. It says, Lillian, when we got challenges in our relationship, batubuza batutabula da. He says when we get challenges in our relationships, bababudabuda. In other words, when they get challenges in their relationships, the exes are there as as scapegoat. They are always there to comfort them. That's why he goes for exes. Rogers, it's like eating and you spit or you vomit and then you go back to your vomit. They are exes for a reason, and that is where they should stay, in that box, in the past. The past is always not for living. It's the future that we look forward to. So if you went on and found someone, there's a reason why you found someone else. Even when that chapter was not closed, I'm thinking it was not closed for a reason and you moved on for a reason. So please try and work it out, like Lydian has said, with that new person. And Lillian says, "Her Roger, your partner should be the one to console and comfort you, not the ex." I hope, Roger, you've had that one. By the way, that's how relationships grow. If you have issues with your partner, you talk about what it is that they've done that has made you, want to have a shoulder to lean on. And once your partner is able to cover that ground with you, then it makes your relationship stronger. You've had the saying, what doesn't break you makes you. So if a relationship can survive the tough, because those things are bound to happen, where you're disappointed. I know of a man who just felt like he couldn't deal with his woman because the girl could not have children. Yet, I'm not saying she didn't have, she couldn't have children when he wanted them. And then the man went back to the ex whom he remembers having told to do abortions. You know, you told the other ex to abort the child. Now you're with this one who is struggling to get pregnant. And you ran off to the ex because it was easy with them. It's just that you told them to take it out. That is selfish. Sometimes men really do act in ways that are not thoughtful. Because when you think about it, if tables are turned and the ladies were running to their exes, I don't think, Rogers, you can let us know. Would it be okay if your partner now ran off to an ex? Would you be okay with it? If you would be okay with it, let us know whether you'd be okay if you found out that your partner is with her ex. I don't think you would. And Lillian says maybe it's the ex that causes all the issues in the relationship, and why isn't the ex concentrating on their own relationships? Rogers, that is for you. You can explain why isn't the ex concentrating on their own relationship? Otherwise, as you think of the answer, I'll continue with the list of third parties in a relationship. Family members. Family members can really interfere. I've seen people where you go to family meetings and the man, uh, the relatives, like especially cultures in Africa, the sisters-in-law or brothers-in-law can really step into the relationship and have no boundaries. And they come with all these things, and the wife is supposed to be receptive. And if she's not receptive of whatever it is the brothers or sisters are saying, then they mark you, and to their brother, you don't seem good enough. They are always out to make sure, why don't you just leave her? Anytime you're having struggles, their advice is, why don't you just leave her? She's not even good enough. She's not pretty enough. Well, families tend to do that, and it's really not good. We should honor the choices of our siblings. Say, my brother, the kind of woman he chooses, I will stick by them until he says it's done. Then will I support even his being done with the lady. And Rogers says, her mom. Oh, there's Lillian says, yeah, Lillian says, her Rogers, your partner. Okay, we finished that one, and you said maybe it's the ex that causes all the issues in the relationship. And why isn't the ex concentrating on their own relationship? Roger, you have to answer that one. And Lillian, Roger, you said, Mama, her mama, don't cause problems. So Rogers has also some things that can really cause him to quake. Eh? Lillian says, my ex was dead. Roger says, Lillian, my ex was dead. My ex died or my ex was dead? Roger, explain that one. And Lillian says, family members should not involve themselves in any relationship unless, of course, the couple consults them for advice. Now, in Africa, I don't know where Lillian you're watching from or where you Rogers are. I already know where Rogers is watching from. But in African settings, it's inevitable for family members to be out of the relationship. Actually, they stick their heads so deep. It's up to how you run your relationship. You can decide from get-go that we are doing this, the two of us. So no one else will come in between and start suggesting. That way your relationship can start off very well and be able to go very far. But there are societies like Asia where you're married into a house and there's the mother, the father, the grandfather, the sisters, the brothers to the man, and there's no one on your side. That one, my friend, is already a complicated one. But if anyone from India is watching it, maybe they can give us their take on that one. And Lillian says maybe maybe move far away from family members. And she sent an emoji laughing. There's no way you can move away from family members. In Africa, it is not that family members are so close, but there's a setting where you get married, and parents tend to send the younger siblings over to come and stay with the older sibling. I'll tell you this story. There is a lady that I know who got married to a Musoga man. In Uganda, we have different tribes, and there's a tribe that we call the Vasoga. So, and these Vasoga people do their things a bit differently. I don't want to call them anything, but they do their things a bit differently. So this girl got pregnant and was happily married to her man. But in the very first week of marriage, that is before she found out she was pregnant, the sister came immediately after honeymoon. The sister to the man came immediately after the honeymoon, and she was bossing the girl around, the newly married girl around like she's now their maid. And she would wake up very early in the morning and is not going anywhere. But this girl who had gotten married had a job and had to wake up very early in the morning to go to work. And because the husband now had a car, she assumed that she was supposed to sit in front because now she's the wife. But this sister came. Remember, the brother used to have that car before he married her, so she used to sit at the front. Now things changed, and probably she didn't get the memo, and she still thought she was going to sit in front. So it was a battle of who is going to sit in front of the car. Is it the younger sister or the wife that is currently in the man's life? And it wasn't easy for this young lady all the time, wondering where the sister is going. I mean, she would not be going anywhere. She would dress up and go in the car and sit in front and wait for them to come downstairs. And when they come to the car, she's already seated there, and the wife goes at the back and sits. And this girl did it for months. And in the meantime, she would eat quickly, leave dishes unwashed, the house uncleaned, and yet she came right after the honeymoon. So you wonder, why did she come? So in African culture, only to find out that the mother of the boy, remember they are from Busoga, which is the eastern part of Uganda, the mother of the boy had told her to go and inspect the relationship and the wife that they've just gotten in their lives. Can you imagine that kind of inspection right after honeymoon? In Uganda or in Africa, those kind of settings are very common, where you get married and you assign, even there are some cultures in Uganda which say "Omushaija tabayamba," like the man is not for only one, the wife that you do not deny a man. And they also have a saying that a wife is not married to only the man, but also the brothers, the whole family. So anyone can have a go with you because you're married to that. It's a bit complicated. So already African settings, relationships can be easily crowded. And Lillian says, no, Roger says, Basoga, let me come. I know, Rogers. Are you a Basoga? Explain, please. And Lillian says, once married, the family, including parents, should sit in the back seat. The wife is now the boss lady. I don't know where, Lillian, you're watching from, but that doesn't normally work. Not in Africa. Sometimes when the parent, I even saw some Nigerian movie where the mother was fighting for the front seat, and the daughter-in-law, they were fighting, mother and daughter-in-law, who was to sit in front. And the boy was torn between his mother and his wife. So you can imagine, you're talking about moving very far away. That doesn't cut it. In Africa, I can plan to come and visit you for a month. I'm your mother, I will visit for an unknown period. I can stay for a year. And in that year, you're sitting in the back, I'm sitting in front. You're doing all this housework for me. So things are a bit different, but that kind of crowding is different. But again, it's inevitable, but it's at least got hope. You can talk to the mother, the sisters, and that depends on the parties involved, whether it's the wife and it's the family members that are intruding, or it's the man and it's the family members. It's an issue of the man talking to his people and the woman talking to her people, and issues are resolved, but not so easily sometimes. And Rogers says, Batoro se omusajja tayangwa, meaning omusajja taganibwa. Yes. You heard that, the Batoro say omusajja tayangwa, omushaija tayangwa. In other words, you don't refuse a man. So if I got married to you, your brothers can come, and when they come, I should treat them the same way I treat you, my husband. If your father comes, I should treat him exactly the way I treat you, my husband. Yeah, and that's culture. Already those kind of relationships are crowded. They never last. Them days it used to work where people would stay married even when they're in loveless marriages. But these days where people are learned and exposed, it's a bit different. When you don't want some shit, you just lock it out and move on. So things are a bit different. And Lillian says, oh no, Roger says, I'm not a Musoga. My full name is Sekavira Rogers. Okay, Tata General. I hear you, Rogers. When you talked about Basoga and then you said, I'm coming, I thought you were, and I'm coming back. I thought you were, and we had touched a sensitive topic, but that's good to know. Now, Lillian says the man should stand up and and choose the wife. That's whom he's married to. Yes, but that doesn't normally happen that automatically, because now the man is torn between his people who he grew up with and this woman that he has just met. There is this couple that I know of. The gentleman really doesn't show much care to the wife. They've been married for some time now, like about maybe 10 years. And this man treats the wife like any way he finds. But anything, any progress that happens, he tells the mother. If, say, like he gets a raise at work, he runs off very quickly to the mother, tells the mother, you know what, they increased my salary, now I'm getting this much. Then the mother plans for that money. Okay, you spend this on food, this will go on this will go on this. And the mother is very happy at that. But this is killing my friend inside slowly. And when I told her to talk to the man and tell him exactly how she felt, the man said, actually, it's the mother. She overheard the mother of the man saying she's not the only one who can have children. We can always get someone else, but you have only one mother. So, with that in mind, the man kept quiet and things have been going on normal. But that has caused their nerve to also go cold, because already the relationship is crowded by family. That is, family members who cross boundaries. Now, it's okay to have family members, but those who cross boundaries really should be the ones that we are talking about now, because they are the ones that cause the relationship to really crumble. Now we talk about workmates. Workmates can also be third parties that are hard to deal with. Workmates, especially with .com relationships now, where I want to show up with my wife, or my wife picks me at work, or my husband picks me at work. Those kinds of relationships as well. Workmates can mess up relationships. An example, first of all, about workmates, we start comparing. Say, like on the weekend, we meet at someone's house, and then we start gauging. That one's wife is not any good. This one's wife is not any good. This one is the best. Why don't you tell your wife to dress up a certain way, like so and so's wife? Those ones have also become third parties in relationships, and you find that you're not running your relationship as you should, but you're running it basing on what the other partner is doing. That can cause crowdness to a relationship. And Lillian is still bent on, is that the polygamous culture? I don't know whether that yeah, the man should stand up and choose the wife. That's whom he married. He's married to. Or is that the polygamous culture? No, that's not a polygamous culture where family members come in. It's just the way it is. It's culture in Africa where you get married. Marriages are not between two people, they are more of a communal setting. You get married to me, you take my whole crew with me. My brothers, my sisters, my aunties. That is why my auntie can come in unannounced and spend as much time as she wants in our house. And I'm supposed to treat them well. And then my husband's, cousins, uncle, something in distant relationship that you can't even explain comes and also stays, and you're supposed to treat them well because it's part of culture. It's a communal kind of living in Africa. And Rogers says, I even had a Musoga girl, but Basoga problems from problem to problem, ever problem for me. I didn't want to say much about the Basoga, just in case someone is on here and is a Musoga. Go ahead and explain yourself, guys. This is a live chat, and drop in your comments. We'll read them. Let us know about your take when love gets crowded, the impact of third parties on a relationship. Roger said his experience with Basoga wasn't the best. Many people who have different opinions to give, but that's Roger's opinion. And Lillian said, I was referring to the culture where the wife belongs to father, brother, brother, etc. It's not a polygamous one. It's just, one of those marriages, but culture is observed. Like I said, it's more of communal in Africa. So you get married, and I think you have also heard of it, where among the Baganda, you get married and they call you our wife, our husband has come. It becomes our husband, even by the introduction ceremony, where when you're getting to be introduced, it's not you directly, it's the singer who comes in first, pretending to be the girl, saying, I've come on behalf of so and so, if she's found a partner. So those things are really common. It's not new, it's culture. Yeah, you just have to learn how to define the boundaries for these family members. But they are okay, but they can really get in the way. And Alan says, water outside the boat can't sink the boat until you let it in your boat. Someone is saying, where, Alan? Maybe you can explain on that one. And Roger says, I'm sorry for that, but he's still typing. Now, Alan said, water outside the boat can't sink the boat until you let it in your boat. And that is so right. I hope this is what Alan was driving at, because this is what I'll explain basing on what I've just read. When you get into a relationship, it's the two of you doing this. If you choose to make it about the two of you, and the family members act as the water that is outside the boat, and you keep them out, you let them in when you want them to get in, and you lock them out when you want them out. then they would stay out. In other words, your relationship can stay intact, whether it's with family members, whether it's exes, whether it is workmates. That is what he can briefly say, that water outside the boat can never sink a boat except until you let it in your boat. And Roger says, I'm so sorry for that, but an exclamation mark. I think he's being sorry. I don't know whether about the Basoga culture or whatever. Roger, you have to explain why you said, I'm so sorry about that. And you said, but. Otherwise, we talked about workmates, but also social media can become a third party. My goodness, you've never gotten into a relationship with a person who is so much attached to social media. They are following and so is doing her relationship a certain way, and so they start living in their heads, wanting to live and be exactly like they see things on social media. There was a time the Kardashians were really trending, and because those ladies were never working but spending off on holiday, I know of people who wanted to, or were pestering their men to take them on holidays. Holidays they don't even know need visas, but they say, why don't we ever go to on holidays? You see, the Kardashians go on holiday, but remember, those people don't appear like they're working. But you watching their content, you're actually making them work. They are working because you watching them on ETV or whichever place you're watching from, you're making them money. So they were working, but they were giving the illusion of you can spend, live large while not working, which was so wrong. And social media is one of those things or avenues that can actually become third party in a relationship. Remember, the topic of discussion is when love gets crowded, the impact of third parties in a relationship. And Lillian says, but that TV show in the is in the USA. Also, the show only gives you a snippet of their lives. I know, but how many of us actually do know that bit? People follow all kinds of people on social media, but the people you follow are a pay. Like Lillian, you said before that these things are scripted. Now, I may not know about that sister wives, whether it's scripted, but for these ones, it's surely it's scripted. But guess what? There are so many people who live and want to live like them, spending, going out, throwing parties, going on holiday. Even here in Uganda, where the minimum wage is not even stated, but they do want to live that way. So if you manage to get a person who lives in their heads and is driven by social media, they will take that relationship apart because they want exactly what it is that they're watching on TV. And Roger says, I'm sorry to talk about our Basoga friends. I know. And then I talked about third parties being, even a child can become a third party. Say, like you get married to me and I have my child. If my child doesn't like you, chances are that relationship will not thrive. I will always put my child ahead of any relationship that I'll get in. My child, if they are not happy, if she is not happy, he is not happy with the man I'm going out with, then I'm done with you. There are people who have lived their relationships out like that. And if the children, they are that, they are deal breaker. They don't like you. Next, the mother is like, what do you think of this one? Oh, no, mommy, we don't like, or I don't like him. He doesn't suit you. The next thing that happens is holes are poked in that relationship, and chances are it will not stand. Why? Because my child didn't like you, and so already our relationship is like letting water into a boat and allowing it to sink, like Lillian said. And Lillian says, and that's how they make money, by being on TV. So it's outrageous that people want to copy their lifestyle. It is outrageous, but people do want. And Rogers will maybe tell us if he's ever lived with an extravagant girl, one who lives on TV, on social media. I know of someone, my goodness, This lady loved social media. I mean, they would live in a house, or she would live in a house that was 250,000, but want to have things that are worth, you know, like, have a phone that is worth 5 million. How can you live in a house that is cheap and carry a phone that is way many times more expensive than the house you live in? So some people do really prioritize different things, and they choose to put ahead of their lives certain things because of what they are watching or following. Like social media is one of those that messes up good relationships and causes them to be crowded. The party from social media is not tangible or visible, but they exist, and guess what? They can dictate how the relationship flows. I know of those who want, they order from certain places, their things, because she gets to hear people order from Asda, or, you know, um, they hear the names and they think these are very expensive places simply because of what they are watching. And that can bring a relationship down, especially if the man cannot afford that kind of lifestyle that you're watching. And we talked about a child. Yeah, children can also become third parties in a relationship and cause the relationship to be crowded. Roger, since you've been around, you can give us your experience on whether you've dated a woman who has a child and how that went for you. I know there are men who are watching. If you're watching in, it's a live chat, guys. Go ahead and drop in the comments. When love gets crowded is the topic, and the impact of third parties in a relationship. You can go ahead, drop your comment, we'll read it. Let's be honest, sometimes the third party is just a symptom of a bigger problem. That is also something that we need to consider. There is a big problem at hand, and that is why third parties come in. So we are going to look at reasons why third parties come in. Because, like I said, they could be as a symptom of a bigger problem. First of all, what are some of the signs that there is a third party in a relationship? When a partner starts getting distant, before probably he would talk about issues, now not anymore, and you're wondering how are all these issues being resolved? That way you can also know that there could be a third party, someone he goes, say like before he was intimate and is not anymore, or before he could talk to you about things and now not anymore. You just know there's a third party. Or hiding the phone. There's that tendency in relationships where partners hide their phones from each other. You hide your phone. Yeah, there's this gentleman who went to the bathroom and the phone rang and the wife picked it up. The man literally ran out of the bathroom naked with soap all over his hair, with a towel tied around him, because the phone had rung and the wife had picked. The man got out of the bathroom and ran just so he could get back the phone. So you can imagine, probably there was someone in there already crowding their relationship, and he was afraid that the wife could find out. So another sign that there's a third party is probably hiding of that phone and acting suspicious. If a person is always acting suspicious, you get to wonder why. Probably there's someone who has fed them with wrong information, and they are now acting out of what they've had, and they are suspicious on just about anything. You're going out, maybe to the shop, or you're going to work. Who did you talk to? Where did you go? Why didn't you pick up? Probably there's someone else feeding them with all this wrong information. That is why they're acting a certain way. Another sign that there could be a third party is when there is a lot of secrecy. This is the ideal relationship. We are open. We are like an open book to each other. You tell me, I tell you. You share with me, I share with you. But then when there is a lot of secrecy, you just know there is someone out there who is probably feeding poison to the relationship, to one of the parties, telling them you shouldn't tell them all of that. You shouldn't share all of that. Keep something to yourself. Those kind of people are also part of those that would ruin relationship. And so it's a clear sign there's a third party. In case you're wondering, how do I know there's a third party in my relationship? Also, loss of intimacy. I know there's a lot that could cause the loss of intimacy, like sickness or health problems or lack of money, but also a third party can cause the loss of intimacy. When I come to you and start telling you things about your wife, you start holding back and checking them out, wondering, did what I hear, is it true that my wife is doing this or the other, or my husband is doing this or the other? Then you start resenting them simply because you've had enough and you don't feel like they're worth giving them anything anymore or pouring into anymore. So that could be another telltale sign that there's a third party in your relationship. Emotional disconnection. The reason why we get into relationships is because we are emotionally connected. We have to be at some level for genuine relationships. We have to be at some level emotionally connected. But when you find that you don't connect with a person anymore like you used to, someone else has cropped in, poison has sneaked in and caused that division, and you're not connected anymore the way you were before. You're not, you feel like something changed. Many times there's someone that has cropped in. And if you don't feel like you're connecting anymore to this person because they are holding back and pouring out somewhere else, and that's why you're getting less, that is also a reason why you should check into your third party issues. Probably there's someone in there. And Rogers think, sorry, I think it is Lydian first. She says, I think with children, it's mostly the child feeling insecure with a new person and how it might affect the relationship with the parent. Yes, but Lillian, do you agree to the fact that these children can dictate whether you should, pursue the relationship or you don't? Because once uh, your daughter tells you, "Mom, I don't like him. He's not good for you," you start second thinking or second guessing yourself about that relationship. And if she continues to say the same thing, you find that somewhere along the line, if he does something small, you'd always fall back on that comment of your daughter. My daughter has always even warned me against you. Probably you're not it. But if your daughter is excited or your son is excited about the new relationship, the new person in your life, then you just want to go for it even before it's mature. You just go for it premature because you know your kids are for it or your child is for it. So that happens as well. And Rogers says, "Good night, Mama. Good night, Lillian. We shall meet. I'm late. Goodbye." Oh, goodbye, Rogers. Thank you. You've been a good sport. And until next Friday, probably you can drop in the comments what title you would want us to topic you would want us to discuss for Friday, Good Friday, and we shall see if it tallies with the one that we've already set for Friday. Otherwise, thank you so much, Rogers. And now, back to our topic today. We were talking about excessive time spent with someone else. If you spend so much time with another person, you end up creating a void with the other one who you're in relationship with. So that can also create a hole in a relationship and cause it also to be crowded. Lillian says, "Good night, Roger." So I hope you have heard, and bye bye. Okay, we were talking about Rogers is suggesting a topic for next Good Friday. Polygamy marriage is not is good or not? Okay, that would be for probably we'll do one on Saturday, but that for Good Friday, and we wanted something to do with Easter. So Think about that one, Rogers. I'll note it and use it for a good time. Polygamy not good, good or not. Okay, I'll note that one and we'll consider it. Thank you, Rogers. Polygamy, good or not. And I don't know if Audrey is sleeping and Jamie, but if they are sleeping, good night, Audrey and Jamie. I don't see you, I don't hear from you. It's okay, you can go on and go to bed. Those of you who are still watching, thank you guys for hanging in there. Go ahead and drop in the comments. It's a live chat. You can let me know your opinion on when love gets crowded and the impact of third parties in relationships. That's the topic of discussion today. Go ahead and drop in the comments. We'll read your comment. Now, also, we need to think about, is the third party the problem or a symptom? There is always a reason why third parties come up. A third party is any external person who significantly influences the dynamics between two people in a way that causes emotional strain. So anyone that influences the dynamics between two people in a way that causes emotional strain is a third party. So in case you're wondering, who is a third party? It's anyone who causes or influences the dynamics between two people in a way that causes emotional strain. So with that in mind, there are things that cause third parties to come into relationships. Yeah. A third party doesn't always mean cheating. Sometimes it's emotional support sought. I could be looking for someone to support me, and that alone can cause a third party, emotionally. And Rogers says, okay, bye bye. Big up, Lillian. Always, you have good comments. Respect. Good. Good, Rogers. And Lillian, thank you so much. Rogers, thank you for showing up on Always. I hope we can see you if we choose to do Saturday. I hope you'd be available. Otherwise, a third party does not always mean cheating. Sometimes it's emotional neglect or emotional support sought elsewhere, or attention given when it shouldn't be given. So that is when a third party can come in. Remember, we're talking about what brings or causes a third party to come in. Are they a symptom or are they a problem? Oh, sorry, are they a symptom of a bigger problem? Third parties. That is what we're talking about right now. Another cause of third parties is that emotional neglect. When you feel neglected, you don't feel like your partner is connecting with you anymore. You feel alone. You feel the partner is not paying attention to you. I'm not saying that should be the way out, but some people really go that way and find someone who can always believe in them, or someone who will listen. At times, that is all that is required. And if I find someone who can give me time, just make me feel special, give me audience, that is all. A shoulder to lean on. Things are crumbling at home, and this person is not going to scream at me, but is going to be that listening ear. That is when third party is cropping, guys. So, in case you want to close those holes, you should pay attention to emotional support or neglect. And there's also poor boundaries. Say like we start a relationship and there are no boundaries. Family members can come in, give their opinion. Anyone can come in and say and do whatever they want. That relationship is always open to third parties. So if your relationship has had no boundaries, the chances are you have a third party, or you've had a third party before, and that led to your breakup in a relationship. So really try and improve on the boundaries talk about them. Tell your partner what you think should be the limit to which family members come in, to which workmates come in, or to which social media. Be real, spend quality time together. And when you do that, you discuss on issues that count. You get in a relationship and you're like, so we are getting involved. How far should your family members come? Are you going to be supportive when my family members come in play, or am I going to support you when your family members come in play? Are you going to support me? You talk about work. Actually, what we didn't even talk about is also the bosses at work. They can give you ridiculous schedules that keep, you know, you so busy and you have no time for family. And the partner can start wondering, are we still in a relationship? Is the boss really making you work, or there's something else coming up? And that can create holes in your relationship. So even the bosses can play a big part in becoming third parties. And some workplaces, they really want to know where your husband works. Are you married, or are you in a relationship? Then they target giving you work, sending you to far places so that you don't spend enough time with your partner. I know of this gentleman who uh, got to know that this girl was struggling in their relationship financially. And so the girl pleaded to the man, please give my husband some work. Actually, it's the boy who was employed. And the boy had a party and brought the boss home. So the girl got to see the boss, and the boss liked the girl and started sending the man up country. And while the man was working up country for 2, 3 months, the man was busy at home, coming in, bringing some food, coming in, asking about which bills need to be sorted. And the girl felt really taken care of. And because she felt taken care of, guess what happened? She really developed feelings for this man, because while the man was not paid enough at work, the boss was taking care of house bills. Until it got to a point where the girl had to be with the boss every time so that he can increase the pay of the husband. And she was the price for his increase in pay, but he never knew why his pay was increased. And he kept on sending him far away up country all the time. And while he's gone up country, the boss is swimming in the house. You can imagine. So really, some relationships, bosses do play a part in becoming third parties. But back to our causes of third parties: unresolved trauma. Say like I was in a relationship before, and the man I gave you example of, who was in a relationship before, and the girl had friends, and the relationship failed because he could not keep up with the demands of the friends. And because he could not keep up with the demands of the friends, the man ended up losing the relationship. Now, this time round, he's purposed, determined not to have a girl who has friends. And if that girl has friends, that he was determined to make sure all those friends never come back to his house, because they were the root cause of the downfall of their previous relationship. So you can imagine. And Lillian says, what? A third party with benefits? Yes, a third party with benefits. The boss became. So you can imagine that happens again. In the weakness of moments, people do crazy things. But anyway, those are some of the things that crowd relationships. Because trust me, that man could not compete with the boss. I mean, it's the boss, he decides how much he should pay him, and so whatever he's paid is what he would cut from and be meeting the needs at home. But what the boss would do would be to send him far off. That way he spends less time at home and the boss is always around. Making sure also, do you have food? Also, have you paid rent? What about for power? And the girl was forever indebted to the boss as to the way he was taking care of them in the absence of the man. But he's the one who was even giving the man really little pay, until it came to the time when the girl had to be the one to, sleep with the boss so he can increase the man's pay and promote him, quote unquote. Because with the promotion came greater responsibilities, whereby now he was going to be stationed up country for 3, 4 months on end. You can imagine. Yeah. So it's a live chat, guys. Those of you who are dropping by for the first time, we are talking about when love gets crowded, the impact of third parties in a relationship, the impact of a third party in a relationship. So go ahead, drop your comment, we'll read it, and together let us talk about life. Friday is dedicated to live chats. We talk about life, any topic. Sometimes it's politics, sometimes it's life, it's finances, it's savings, different topics. And this one was suggested basing on relationships. So you can go ahead and give your experience. We will read it and let us hear what you think causes third parties, because that's what we are handling right now. So unresolved trauma. If I had a terrible experience with a third party, trust me, if I get into another relationship, I'll be on a lookout for them. Whether they are there or they are not, I would make sure mine doesn't have, or this time round I would have someone to advise me, so I'll be the one to bring in a third party. So you can imagine. Another one is lack of communication. When we don't talk, we are creating room for avenues of talking to someone else. We need to create a ground where we can easily talk about things. That way, third parties are not welcome in our relationship. Because if I'm not talking to you and you're my husband, guess what I'll do? I'll go and talk to my mother. I would go and talk to my father, my brothers, and then my brothers will give me their silly or foolish opinions. And in the end, if they don't like you anyway, we will end up splitting. So one wise way is, to improve on our communication. That way, our relationship has a chance of standing. And another one that I noted is many times it starts with unmet needs. I have some needs that you're not meeting, and guess what? I find someone who can meet them. I think that one many of us can relate. I I like the way Quality Marriages put it last time, that if I need money and you're not giving me money, and there is this man who is giving it on the side, it is a temptation to go and get that money from that one and sort my problems while I come back to you. So see how I've introduced a third party? Because I've got unmet needs, and it's so easy for me uh, to, go to that person and, tell them what I need. And if they can meet them, I've already introduced a third party. So unmet needs can really lead to the coming up of a third party, someone who would fund. Say like I need emotional support, and you're never there. Anytime I need you to talk, anytime I need you to, just be there for support, you're not. And there's always this person who is hanging around. It is so easy for anything to happen. I get attached to that person, and I always go to them when I have issues that I need to deal with. So, unmet needs is one of them. Emotional neglect is one of them. Emotionally, you're never there. You don't really care. If we are in a relationship and you show me that you don't care, and there's this other person that seems interested, guess what? It is so easy to go to that person that seems interested in my affairs, and before you know it, I've introduced them in a relationship. I'm always comparing them, you to them, and I'm always running off to them. I start, keeping things to myself and waiting for that other avenue where I can let loose of that which happened to me. And also unresolved conflict. If there is any issue that has gone on between us and we've not talked about it, that doesn't mean it has gone away. It is still there. But because we've not talked about it, doesn't mean we've not dealt with it, doesn't mean it's gone. It's actually lingering around the corner. It's just outside the frame, but it's actually still there. And the fact that it is still there, if I happen to find someone that I can easily talk to about it, that person will have their way, will find their way easily as the third party in our relationship. So we try as well to resolve conflict as and when those conflicts arise. And disconnection. When you're disconnected with a person, an example, if we met and our relationship started off on a sexual line where it's only about sex and no talk, guess what? I would eventually have to find someone who I can easily talk to and they can talk to me, because relationships are built that way. You get so close to a person because they are always there. You're always talking. You tell them the things that no one else knows. They know that other part of you that no one else does. So that is how that person who knows so much about you can actually creep their way into your relationship and become the third party, either to drive you away or to push you closer. But really, most of the time, it's to drive you away from your relationship. And that is what I had put down on the causes of third parties. Now, how is a third party the problem or a symptom? That is what also I wanted to talk about. This is where the conversation gets real. Yeah. Did the third party appear out of nowhere, or was there already a void? Because if they appeared from nowhere, it's a different topic. But if they came because there was a void, that is again a different thing altogether. There was a void, and so they saw the opportunity, crept their way in, and voila, they are in your life and there to stay. So we get back to that question again. Is the third party the problem or a symptom? The third party could be a problem where they just came up in your relationship and started interfering, family members, workmates. They came from nowhere. You were doing well, but they came in. Yeah, and Lillian is saying it's a problem. It's a problem. Yes, it is a problem. She says the third party is a problem. It's not a symptom. But sometimes third parties, guys, can be a symptom. There was a loophole, I saw it, I sneaked in, and now I'm right in between the two of you. Yeah? There was luck, I met the need, and now I'm in between the two of you. I'm the one who is financing that relationship. Sorry about that. And Lillian, you are amazing. Thank you. If you had not told me about the sound, I wouldn't have known. I would have thought we were good when actually we were disconnected years ago. Thank you so much for letting me know about the sound. Lillian said third parties, because I asked, is the third party the problem or a symptom? And Lillian says it's a problem because they are always interfering with relationships. Now, I would say third parties sometimes are not only a problem, but they are also a symptom. They are a symptom because they saw a loophole and they used it to come in as third parties. Sometimes there was emotional neglect, there was unmet needs, there was trauma lingering around, past trauma, there was no communication, there were no boundaries, and all these other things brought in the third party. So sometimes they are a symptom as well of a lack or a deficiency in some way. Did the third party appear out of nowhere, or was there already a void? Is also another problem. And Alan says the sound is back. Thank you so much. Now, sometimes it's easier to blame the outsider than face the fractures within. It is so easy to blame the outsiders, to say it's this one, it's the relatives, it's the workmates, it's that child, it's the boss, it is your friends, when actually you've not faced the problem that is causing, the thing that is causing these third parties to have their way in your relationship. I remember what Alan said, that if you don't let water come into your boat, it won't sink it. It's only when you let the water in that the boat sinks. So really, we are the ones in relationships that let in these third parties and give them the weight that they carry. And Lillian says depends, because it's family, then sometimes you can't avoid it. Hmm? He says because if it's family, then sometimes you can't avoid them. That is very true. When it is family, but issues with family can at least have hope, because if light is shaded to a family member that has been so much in your business, that family member can pull away. If they get something to do, then they can pull away. If they move house, they can pull away. If they die, that can end with them. But there are these unresolvable ones where a third party is, an ex, a colleague or workmate, best friend, uh, that are not so easy to put out. Social media followings, those ones as well. And Lillian says, some are just troublemakers. I know some are just troublemakers. They don't want something good going. They just want to bring down anything that they can have their hands on. But sometimes it's easier to blame the outsiders than face the fracture within. It is so easy for us to be blaming. It's this one, it's the sister-in-law, the brothers, it's family, it's this. But when actually the problem also lies within us. Like Alan said, if you don't allow water into your boat, it does not sink it. But if you do, then the boat will sink. So if the two of us decided to tighten our relationship really tight, there is no way the third parties can come in. But we also tend to slack on that one, and that's why all these other third parties crop in. Now, the impact of third parties for the betrayed partner, the partner that has been betrayed by the third party, there is deep pain. Third parties can cause that pain that feels that you feel like, am I not good enough? Why did this other person come in? Are they done with me? It can cause so many things. But Lillian says, an ex should remain an ex. Move on and never to look back at past relations. Lillian sounds really done with this whole exes coming in play as third parties. I think I, as well as you, Lillian, third parties should really stay in the past. They are exes for a reason, and that's where they should stay. Xed out of the relationship. That is far as it goes. But then when we talk about the impact of third parties, it causes deep pain to the betrayed partner, trust issues. I mean, you start doubting yourself. You start thinking, am I good enough? Was I not listening? Am I not brilliant? I don't have ideas. You start doubting even the simple things that before you thought good about yourself, you start doubting them. It can also cause confusion. You walk about confused about what you're capable of and what you're not, whether you're good enough or you're not. Third parties really can mess you up. Insecurity. You can start feeling insecure. You start thinking maybe that person is better than me. That is why that person opted for them and not me. Or you can even start thinking having trust issues. Like this guy that I told you about, that vowed that anytime he gets into a relationship, it has to be to a girl who has no friends, simply because he's got now trust issues. Now I'm trying to wind up. And for partners involved with third parties, these are some of the impacts. Guilt, having a third party or bringing a third party into a relationship can leave you with guilt, really, where you feel guilty. You have really done it, you've messed up a good thing, you are guilty as charged. And once the other one finds out, there is no hope for you. Another one is shame. Oh my goodness. Everyone getting to know you had someone on the lines can bring about shame. So, looking at it that way, third parties shouldn't be involved in any, brought into any relationships. Some believe they found what they were missing. That is the impact with the parties involved with third parties, partners involved with third parties. Some start thinking that they found what they were missing, so they don't feel guilty. They feel like, and that could lead to the ruining of a good relationship, because you start realizing maybe I found what I was needing, and then you quit that one. Uh, and Alan says, great point, Lilia, no turning back. Yeah, no turning back. And now I'm talking about the impact of the impact for third parties. You are the third party in our relationship. So the impact of that, they may be wrongly, no, sorry, they may be knowingly or unknowingly involved. They can intend to actually, ruin your relationship. And that could be one of those side effects. They might also feel powerful because they are the ones who they run off to, and so they feel they are better than you who is in that relationship. But also they can feel mixed feelings where they feel used. Third parties, that the one who is the third party can feel used. They can feel powerful. They might feel guilty depending on their context. Yeah, now how to protect our relationships from third parties. One of them is to set clear boundaries early on with exes. Yeah, friends, family, and co-workers, children. So like we are getting into a blended relationship where I come with a child or you come with a child, we both come with children. You set boundaries earlier on that would help your relationship to stand and also stay emotionally connected. That is how we can protect our relationships from third parties. You try and stay emotionally connected and talk more, listen to each other more, and check in every now and again on each other. See if you're still there, connected to each other. It is key, paramount that we check in. Guys, it's a live chat, and I would love to hear comments from other people. Otherwise, handle conflicts quickly. Don't let them result into resentment or build or escalate into things that they really are not. So, handle conflict as and when they arise. That will help our relationships from getting third parties. Because what would require therapy after I've not dealt with it for some time would be ideally solved because we handled it as and when it resulted. But if we wait to handle conflict, guess what happens, guys? We may end up paying to have our conflicts resolved through a third party, or other third parties will be invited into our relationship because we didn't resolve our conflicts. Also appreciating each other daily. It is key, guys, that if you're with someone, you appreciate them, because when you do, third parties won't have room. I mean, appreciate your man, appreciate your woman, appreciate, even if it is just your friend, appreciate them so that no one else crops in and starts, feeding them otherwise and gets between the two of you. Don't let resentment build. That would also help so third parties don't have room. Build appreciation daily, daily for each other. Don't let boredom become an open door. Boredom can really become an open door where anyone can just walk in, bring in their garbage and dump it in there and then leave. So don't let boredom become an open door in your relationship, because once boredom kicks in, someone comes in with excitement and you're off with that. An example is that lady that I told you about that uh, came to visit over Christmas to this couple, and then after that saw how the other life was, their life was. Probably she saw that it was boring. She was a party animal, and then invited the wife to go with her on holiday and leave the husband. And that kind of life was exciting to the woman. She didn't remember when she last had such excitement because her life had become boring. And she went off on that trip, and voila, things turned different. Because when she came back, she was a different person, having seen the other side of life that she had missed out for so long. And the relationship ended that way because she couldn't stay in that relationship anymore. So we shouldn't allow boredom to become an open door in our relationship. We should make our relationship exciting. We should all choose to live in a relationship, not to, ruin it or give up on it just like that. Be transparent about new people in our lives. If there's anyone new in your relationship, in your life, go ahead and let your partner know. Let your friend know that I met this person. They are like this and this and this. And they are like this. And this is what they think, or this is what I think about them. So doing that will help for both of you not to be having someone on the side to run off to, but everyone will be aware of who it is that the other is running off to. Say, like, I meet this person, I introduce that person to my husband, we get to know them as a couple. That way, if we have issues, we talk to that person together. Not that I go to that person and my husband doesn't, or my husband goes to that person and I don't. It should be we've gone off to that person. We've brought them into our relationship to help us together. So the issues they help in concern all of us, and we are always there when that is being handled. Now, there's a call for action. Have you ever dealt with a third party in your relationship, or you are not, or have you not? I just need to know. And if you have dealt with a third party in your relationship, you're not alone. There's so many people that have gone through third parties in their relationships. And those issues can be resolved, guys. They can, if we choose to work on our relationships. We should make sure our relationships are not boring, creating that hole where third party will sneak in and make it exciting. Communicate more, like we have said, and meet each other's needs as and when they arise. That will help our relationship stand, and also have boundaries that are set, whereby not everyone can just come in and give their opinion or have their say in our relationship. Uh, Lillian said I have, and I think I think she was evil. Lillian, you can let us know on your experience of a third party, how it went, and how you came up to the conclusion that she was evil. Please do share. And guys, it's a live chat. Go ahead and drop in the comments your experiences with third parties. We are talking about third parties uh, when love gets crowded, or the impact of third parties on a relationship. So go ahead and let us know. Lillian says she thinks her third party was evil. She can maybe clarify on that one. What made her conclude? Lillian, what made you conclude that your third party was evil? Because many people have them and they think they are good, and they also think they are really wicked. Most of the time they are wicked. Third parties, I've not had many who have said they were for the relationship. Many times third parties are against the relationship, but under the guise of being nice, and you embrace them until they stab you right behind your back. So, Lillian, you can share your experience and let us hear it. Otherwise, guys, it's a live chat. Go ahead and drop in the comments your opinion on third parties, your experience with third parties. Have you ever dealt with a third party in your relationship? Remember, you are not alone if you have had a third party. We've all had them. Like Alan was saying, her daughter had a friend and things were getting out of hand, and she thought, could she get in a third party to talk on her behalf? So people have had relationships before, and third parties are to different degrees. Sometimes it's at work, sometimes it's in relationships when it concerns love. Oh, Lydian says it was an in-law. I wish you could call in and just give it to us. All in-laws can really overstep their boundaries. They can really become something else. They are, I don't know what to say about in-laws. Some in-laws really, but not all of them. Some are good, but some are wicked. Wicked, as the word is. Some are really wicked, but some are really nice. Yeah, some are really nice. But also we need to remember that third parties do not destroy strong relationships. Third parties do not destroy strong relationships. I've seen people who have been told, you need to leave that man, he's this and this and this, and their relationship just gets even tighter and gets stronger. And yet, all they've said is that man is not good for you, he's this and this. There's a man who loved an American girl, and words were flying left, right, and center to the white girl, telling her you shouldn't be involved with this black man. He's already had a child in a maid. He doesn't have a job. He's homeless. They were saying all kinds of things. But the more they told this white girl about this black boy, she got in love and deeper in love with this guy, and they got married. And to date, they are still, no, to date, they are not together, but they really hung in there through those years when everyone was telling until it ran its course. But there are some relationships where third parties come in and they can't break them apart. So third parties don't destroy strong relationships. They expose the weak spots. And if your relationship has a weak spot, third parties sometimes come in and they just expose those weak spots. They expose the weak spots, but sometimes that's a wake-up call. We need to either fight for love or walk away from what no longer serves us. Sometimes it gets to that where you just need to walk away from that which does not serve you and count your losses and just move on. Otherwise, guys, it's been a live chat and we started off. I thought those of you who have been watching would drop in the comments. Lillian, you've been a good spot. And Rogers, Alan, Audrey, Jamie, thank you so much, guys, for all the comments that you brought in. Thank you. And those of you who are not yet subscribed, you can go ahead and subscribe. You'll be able to get notification as and when these lives are broadcasted, and also you'll be able to access in the archives all the lives that we have done every Friday night. Otherwise, in the week we do the Bible. We read the Bible we started reading from Genesis, and right now we are in Psalms. And Lydian has just dropped in a comment and said she definitely overstepped the boundaries. I wish you would share, Lydian, on how she did overstep her boundaries before we close off. That would be really nice if you share how she overstepped her boundaries. And you said she was an in-law. I don't know whether she's still an in-law or she is not. And I wouldn't be surprised if she's not anymore, because a person can only take in so much with questionable intentions. Yeah, which questionable intentions are those? If it's an in-law, you'd really wonder why they're doing it. Because it gets so bad, you wonder whether they wanted to get married to their sister or their brother, if they were that good. But you find out later that their intentions were just really wicked, to break them up and just keep them apart. But to those relationships that have stood against third parties, kudos to you guys who have fought it out, who have hung in there and made it work. Kudos to you. Many relationships do not stand the pressure from third parties. Normally, the weight of it just brings you down. Otherwise, guys, I'm waiting on Lillian to share more if she is. Those of you who are online, go ahead and drop a comment as we wait on Lillian. We'll give it another few minutes before we close off. Otherwise, the essence of this channel is to do a live broadcasts on Fridays and read the Bible in the week. So in case you're interested in reading the Bible, you can subscribe and you get notification of videos as and when they drop in. And you also be able to access in the archives our journey and all that is about this channel. Otherwise, every Friday we are on. Every Friday, and go ahead and subscribe. If you feel you've had a nice evening with us, go ahead and subscribe. Otherwise, I'm honored that you've been on here, and our intentions that I thought she was going to share the questionable intentions. Otherwise, if she's not going to share, the topic of discussion for Friday next time, Good Friday, will be about Easter and its impact on relationships, festive seasons and their impact on relationships. This will go for Easter that we are going to be having, Good Friday, the Holy Week that is coming up. Otherwise, thank you guys for tuning in. Thank you, subscribers. Those of you who are dropping by for the very first time, you are amazing as well. And I hope you'll be around next Friday because we do this every Friday evening. In case you have nothing to do, keep it right here every Friday and you will have a blast. It is a family of people that have known each other over a span of time, not so long, but over some time. So you can join us every Friday and together let us do live or discuss live. Otherwise, I don't know whether Lillian is going to expand on the questionable intentions of her in-law. Lillian, if you're going to, let us know so that we hang in there and wait for you to text and share. Otherwise, if you're not, let us still know. Otherwise, guys, it's a live podcast. Go ahead and drop in the comments where you're watching from, who you are, and we will read your name and where you're watching in from. That will encourage us as to the span of people that are watching. Otherwise, third parties are a thing that should be kept out and stay out. And if I may say something about third parties, if you're dealing with third parties, there is healing and rebuilding. And Alan says, thank you for presentation. High five. Yeah. Concluding on healing and rebuilding. If you're dealing with this, it's not the end. If you're dealing with third parties, it's not the end. But it takes honesty, accountability, and effort. Rebuilding trust isn't easy, but it's possible with boundaries. If trust has been broken, it is not easy, but it's possible if boundaries are created and there is communication and there is sometimes therapy. You know those therapists. We don't do a lot of therapy in Africa, or at least where I come from. People handle their business and they get whoever needs to be involved in there. and business is handled. But if you happen to be where therapy is, you can go in and have some therapy, talk about it. But I believe so much in two people who started a thing, sitting down and talking about it. Something that is not working out, something that has failed, so that each gets to know what is on the other's mind. But keeping in the dark and keeping quiet does not resolve issues. So I would say, um, if there are unmet needs, if you could find a way of meeting each other's needs, if you could find a way of communicating more. Lillian says next time. So she's not going to share her experience with that in-law that had questionable intentions. Guys, thank you so much for tuning in. And I would like to close off from here. And until next time, when we handle yet another topic, that is Friday, Good Friday. Bye bye, guys, and stay blessed. You have been a great sport. Lillian, thank you so much for the comments coming on. I know you were from work and you managed to come on. And Lillian says, thank you for the good evening. It's been a blast. Thank you so much. You have been amazing. And Rogers, thank you so much, even when you tuned off. Alan, thank you so much. You are amazing. Audrey, thank you for the help and the comments. Jamie, thank you so much. And all of you who have been watching, thank you so much for watching and staying quiet the whole time. I hope you have been blessed. And until next time, when we make yet another one, bye bye, guys, and take care.